Welcome to Startalk with your hosts, Colin and Marty.
Welcome to Startalk Live. This is Colin, and normally we'd have Marty with us, but Marty is actually, I think he's either on a shoot or he's doing one of his auction things up at Whistler, British Columbia. And yeah, the guy's highly in demand right now. His television shows now on Discovery Channel, and so he's been really busy. So anyway, he's not going to be here with us tonight, but we do have a special guest, which is going to be fun for me because I'm not really a funny guy. I like to think that I can say a funny thing once in a while, but I like to be around funny guys that make me laugh, like Marty, that make me smile, that give me a lift. And the fellow that we're bringing on the show is just one of the most genuine human beings in the world. And every time we have a conversation, he makes me laugh. So he's coming up. And a little bit later in the show, we're going to have Garnet here to give you an update on the goats and what's going on with Starwire. So welcome to Star Talk Live, and I'm going to get right into it and bring Jimmy Souza from Las Vegas. I think actually might be in Calgary right now. I don't know. I can never tell. The guy's always on the move. Let's bring him into the show. Jimmy Souza.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
How are you, Colin?
Good to see you, my friend. So where are you? You must be in Calgary now. I'm
in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Yes. I love that town.
And tell me about Las Vegas. You just came back from there?
I did. Well, I've been back and forth like 5 times since COVID started, taking advantage of my dual citizenship, Colin. And I just got a small real estate project going on. And in fact, I'm headed back on Thursday morning. So wow. I'll be down there. If you want to do this again next week, we'll have to do it from Las Vegas. We won't have a choice.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's always fun to get in the same room as you, even though this is virtual. But we go back quite a long way, and I think we want to tell a couple of funny stories. But why don't you, for the people that have never seen you, heard you, tell us a little bit about your background. I know that you're a high achiever. You've been doing things in music and comedy and real estate. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, you are a true entrepreneur and a Renaissance man like no other. So tell the folks in the chat a little bit about Jimmy Souza.
Well, first of all, don't give me any titles I can't live up to. But thank you for those very kind words, Colin. I appreciate that. And right back at you. I've always said to anybody that will listen, there's the most talented guy in my cell phone is you. So if you
don't have many friends, then
there's at least 28 contacts in my phone. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, one for every day of the month, almost.
That's right. No, if I have to probably start by laying out a little bit of a disclaimer. I have a hard time with some of the words in the English language. Where I grew up, Colin, we don't need 26 letters in the alphabet, okay? We figured out a long time ago, if you skip a few letters in every word, you can get more words in every sentence. So if your audience has a hard time, maybe you could put the words down underneath what I'm saying. We can do the text for the people. But I started out just north of Boston many years ago. I'm an old man. I ended up having a drug issue. I drove to the West Coast. When I cleaned up my act, I chased a woman up to Canada. And that's how I ended up in this amazing country.
And you still have that Boston accent. You say,
you talk a certain way for 40 years. Like before I came to Canada, it was 40 years of talking like I'm a leader, not a follower, Colin. I don't need all the letters. I've gotten by, right? At 63, I'm not going to start using them all on this conversation. I can promise you that. But it was about 21 years ago, and you happened to be one of the first people that I met in this country through our mutual friend Peter. And you're right, we've been buds for a very, very long time. And you've been a blessing.
Still make me laugh.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When you grow up the 7th out of 8 kids, you spend your first 5 years of your life tugging on shirt tails going, somebody talk to me, I'm down here. So that's why I'm a little loud blowhard. I'm the smallest one in my family. except for my sister Debbie. Everybody else is taller than me in stature. I grew up with 5 sisters. It's like having 6 mothers, especially when they're older and bigger than you in stature. So that's why I grew up to be the little blowhard that I am. And my apologies in advance.
So I remember a time when you started to talk to me about everyone tells me I should be a comedian. Do you think I should be a comedian? And I said, Jimmy, you can be whatever you want. Just follow your dreams, follow your heart. And actually, you and I used to do a little shtick together. I would play and maybe tell them about that. That was a lot of fun. We did Rotary clubs and all kinds of events.
That was incredible. I was so honored, first of all, that you saw something. And secondly, that you would invite me into your world, Colin, because that's really what it was. I had no promotion. I had no nothing. I had, my personality, a little bit of people skills, the ability to challenge myself to write something in my living room and then get on a stage, amateur, and get into these contests. So when you started asking me to tag along, wow, what a privilege and an honor that was. The one that rings clear in my mind was there in White Rock, where you sit right now, when you had your new album, Living on Dreams. And how do you not play up me creating my own nightmare for those 26 years that I struggled with addiction? So I just remember the dichotomy of, you getting up and doing your thing, and then me having to take the audience from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows before I could bring them back up again, right? Because it was you that said to me, geez, you're like a good Disney movie. You take us through all this emotional roller coaster, but the idea being to make sure you get them back out of the sadness.
That's right.
I don't want to leave them crying. So, no, that was an honor and a privilege for me. And it's the first time anybody's ever asked me for my autograph, in fact, was after that show. But I remember the ladies going crazy for you.
Well, it's part of our DNA at Starwire. That's exactly what we aim to do with our new project, and that is to help other entertainers, other musicians and artists, filmmakers, and to give them some mentorship and a leg up in a number of different ways. We've got some people joining the chat right now. I just want to shout out. Jason says, "Welcome to Star Talk, Jimmy." And
Thank you, Jason.
And he says, "I'm thoroughly enjoying the show, and the North has thawed finally." Okay.
Yeah,
So let's get back to the comedy part, because this is fun.
Yeah.
I remember you were really, really nervous, and you called me one day and says, do you think I can be a comedian? And I can't talk like you, but you can do enough for both of us. What was it like when you first got on the stage to do a bit, like for your very first time? Because people that are watching this, they're, some of them are artists that want to learn a little bit more about the back stage and behind the scenes of what's really going on. So take us into one of those comedy clubs, what you were thinking before you went on stage, and just how did it go?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I love what you guys are doing. I'm all about it. It's why I watch The Voice, that America's Got Talent. I love people going for their dreams, Colin. I cry. So that stuff makes me emotional. So to get to your question, so I after our conversation, to me, I was just challenging myself. Everybody, like I was telling Garnet earlier, it's one thing to make your hairdresser laugh or the lady in the supermarket. It's another thing to get on a stage with a room full of strangers and their arms crossed, staring at you. They paid $5 to be in there. And they're going, make me laugh, funny man. That's a challenge. So the first time I knew I was going to do it, I went to one of the local clubs here in Calgary. It was an amateur night. They did it every Tuesday night. And I sat there because I also believe, Colin, and I know you do this all the time, life is about preparation. So if I was going to do this, I was going to be prepared. I wasn't going to be up there going, or reading a piece of paper. I was going to have my shtick down pat. So I went to this club, and it was crazy because the MC was a guy from New York. And what he would do is he would give the audience a hard time. Like he'd pick people out and he'd mess with people. And then he'd say to them, okay, now I'm going to bring up the amateurs. And if you heckle these guys, you're going to have to deal with me. So he was like a police officer for the amateurs that were getting up there. So I watched the whole show. And I went up to him after, and Mike Dambro was his name, and I said, Mike, I want to go on the list. He goes, really? I go, yep. So he looks at his note, and it's like 5 weeks before I can get on the stage. So I'm thinking, perfect, 5 weeks. So I go home, I start to write some stuff. Then it's 4 weeks, then it's 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week. Then it's the day of the show, Colin. And I am in my office, doing the real estate development that I was involved in, because that's really what I do. And I'm pacing back and forth going, what the heck was I thinking? Like, who do I think I am? You can't do that. And I'm just losing it. I get totally freaked out because, anytime you're going to do something that's going to move you forward in life, you go through questions, concerns, fear, anxiety, and you talk yourself out of it. But I come home and I change my clothes and I'm driving to it's called the Laugh Shop here in Calgary. And I'm at the red light and I'm going, just turn around. Like, nobody knows you. He's not going to know. Just don't show up. My car pulls into the parking lot. I go in and he looks at me, and even he was like surprised. He goes, you made it. And I go, yeah. I got 8 good minutes. He goes, what? I go, yeah, I got 8. He goes, Jimmy, I'm turning your microphone off after 5. And I go, you got to be kidding me. He goes, get out in the parking lot right now and figure out what you're cutting. Now, any one of us who's ever done public speaking, I'm gonna open with this, I'm gonna close with this, and in between, after I say this, it reminds me to say this. So if you start cutting things out of the middle of your act, how am I going to remember what I was doing? So I totally freaked out. So what I did was, and this is me being a coward, I guess, I said to him, I don't want you to introduce me as Jimmy Souza. He goes, what do you mean? I go, I want you to introduce me as the Spanish guy, Jimmy Souza. He goes, what? I go, yeah, that way if I fail, it's not me, it's Jaime failing. Yeah, that was my logic. So for the first 2 minutes, I was this Spanish guy that I don't even know if I could do today because of the cancer culture. But I was up there. This is unbelievable. I cannot believe to him and to you guys. Wow.
You sound like crypto construction.
And so, and not to mention, I'm an old guy, right? So I had impressions of Edith Bunker. And I'm going, oh my God, I don't know if these people are going to know Edith Bunker. But this party of, it was 12 women celebrating a 50th birthday. They knew Edith Bunker. And when I got off the stage that night, Colin, it was crazy because all the other comics said to me, you're a ringer. I said, what do you mean? He said, he brought you in from New York. I said, that was my first time ever on a stage. And they couldn't, so they gave me the confidence to do it again. It was the craziest thing ever. I went from Spanish guy to Edith Bunker. They loved it, and the rest is history.
That was fantastic because I remember, and you went on to do a few more shows, and you started to get a bit of an act together. And I heard some of your bits, and they're always funny. I mean, they leave me in stitches. Did you ever have to go head to head, the guy with the New York accent with the guy with a Boston accent? That must have been.
What's funny is I try to tell people in New York, they drink coffee, they walk the dog, they park the car over there. I just park the car. Like mine is very simple. But if you've been back there, it's two very distinct. Hey, Paulie, what'd you do with my coffee? Don't break my bowl. It's that kind of thing. We're more like, Tommy, where'd you park the car? Tommy, lend me $1 million. I want to buy a piece of Fenway Park. Like, both of them are just lazy ways of talking. In fact, when I lived in Southern California, one of my good friends was from Long Island, and I pull up in front of his house. I say, Tony, I couldn't find a place to park. He starts laughing at me, goes, it's not park, it's pork. I'm like, Tony, I don't think you're the guy I want to learn how to speak English from. And we're arguing at the end of his driveway how to say that word. And I can hear the neighbors going, oh my God, the mafia just moved in next door. They're closing their windows. Yeah. It's just a lazy way of talking. I can teach you how to do it in 7 minutes.
Well, let's transition a little bit from comedy. I know there's more where that came from, and we'll wait till Garnet gets on, but I want to get into the music part of it. Because when I first met you, I had been writing songs in Nashville, and I was down in Nashville during 9/11. And I went out for a run in the morning, and I'd been staying at this farm outside of town. A guy let me stay there for free, so of course you're going to take him up on it. And so I was the only one on this farm, just all by myself, and had no TV, no radio, no nothing. And I went out for a run in the morning, and I saw all of these flags everywhere I looked. People had the American flags on their yards, and I had heard this was just shortly after 9/11, so I knew what had happened, and it just dawned on me that that's what these flags were, and it hit me right there when I was out for my run. Just everything is red, white, and people are feeling blue, and I thought, wow, what a great title for a song. And I went back and I wrote all the lyrics, probably in around 20 or 30 minutes, and that was that. When I got back home, I sat down to start to play around with it, and I was still trying to work on the chord progressions. And Jimmy had been over at my house, and he always likes to sing stick songs or whatever. He's like the quintessential, I'll sing anything and just let me sing. So I thought, here, take these words and let's sing along with these chords. I want to hear it back, what it sounds like, because I was right in the middle of composing the song. And I don't know what happened, but it was, I think, like first take or something. What do you remember?
Well, here's how I remember the story. I remember I'm a man of faith, and I remember praying in my living room one day, God, what the heck am I doing in Canada? And you and I had met, and you popped in my head. And again, I'm a real estate guy, but it was very clear this isn't real estate. It was music. And so I remember calling you, and remember you said to me, that's weird, Jimmy, because I had a dream that you were singing one of my songs. It was a guy with a New York accent. I go, I'm not from New York. And you go, yeah, well, it was your accent. And that's when you called me over. We went into your studio. You showed me the words. That is the very first take. And you gave me a cassette, and you said, take this home with you and let me know what your family and friends think. And Colin, you wrote such an incredible song that my family, especially being back there, my sisters couldn't listen to it without crying. And if you do pay attention, it starts to get emotional. And then you called me back into the studio and you added some of the stringed instruments. We had your daughters there, remember, singing the last part of it with us. I mean, it was such a really cool, for someone who's not a singer. I didn't tour for 14 years like you did around the world. For someone who's not, that was my first experience. Wow, what a blessing and an honor it was for you to say, hey, you had a dream, come and sing my song. And remember, we got some copies of that into some pretty significant hands. David Foster got a copy of it, but he had just started working with some unknown dude. I think his name was Bublé or something like that. And so he had just started working with him, and he took a pass on us, but we got a copy into his hands. I think Oprah's people got a copy of it. Like, you did a really good job of promoting that. Remember, we made 2,000 copies of CDs?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the U.S. military at the time, they used it internally for their own troops and whatnot. They put a photo montage of the whole 9/11 experience together, and they used that song as the backdrop. And
Wow.
I'm not allowed to show it to anybody, but I do have a copy on VHS, believe it or not, at home. And there was a choir somewhere that had found the song somewhere, and they had done a big choral version of it, which was pretty incredible. And then general in the U.S. military ordered about 25, maybe 50 copies for his retirement.
Wow.
And he gave them all out to everybody that came to his retirement party. So that was really interesting. Let's bring Garnet on, and we'll get him to play a little bit of that. And then I want to talk about your experience on The Voice.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Sounds great.
there's Garnet. Welcome to Star Talk
Hey,
Live.
Jimmy.
Hey,
Hey,
Garnet.
guys.
Our mofo goat producer.
Good to be here. Good to be here. So we're going to play some music. Which ones again?
Let's play a bit of the Jimmy. This is the demo.
Okay. So what's the little lead up to that? How did this song become into existence?
Well, that's what we were just talking about. So, Jimmy, if you want to set it up a little bit.
Yeah, what they're about to hear, Colin, is your amazing lyrics and you and I in your studio and you handing me these words and me interpreting them in a certain way. This is literally the first take that we did.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Is that coming through?
No.
No? Okay, hold on.
We definitely have to move from StreamYard to SessionWire. We got to do it.
Here we go. It's there now? Okay. So you're in the studio.
Somewhere somebody's crying, someone's missing in America. There's a little child whose daddy won't be home tonight. Someone's sweetheart's disappeared, and the eyes of the nation share their tears all red, white and feeling blue. They're all red, white and feeling blue. And there's nothing we can do today except fall down on your knees and pray. Red is for the blood on someone's hands, and white is for the dove of peace and freedom in our land, and blue is for the sadness of those lost and lonely souls. No goodbyes and no more hellos. Somewhere somebody's crying, someone's missing in America. And there's a mama whose son's not coming home tonight. Someone's baby's disappeared, and the eyes of the world all share her tears. They're red, white and feeling blue. They're all red, white and feeling blue. And there's nothing we can do today except fall down on your knees and pray. Somewhere somebody's standing up for freedom in America. And we're red, white and feeling blue. We're all red, white and feeling blue. We're red, white and feeling blue. We're red, 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 white and feeling blue.
Yeah, come on.
Wow.
People.
I can't believe you still have that demo. I don't have it.
That was just a demo.
There's that, hey, Colin, I have that and 100 copies of the DVD if anybody wants to buy. Actually, those are great. I give them to people that I like now when they come into my life, and they don't. I mean, it's not like I make it a point to break out in song when somebody's coming over, but it is a nice little thing to have done in my life. And again, I'm honored that you that you took the time to ask me. I still get choked up by a call. I remember bringing your daughters in. If you keep playing that guy, you can hear his daughters were real young and their beautiful little voices singing red, white.
Really?
Well, this is what you just played there is the actual demo. I went and actually produced it a little bit more. I added bass and my daughter's singing along. So the copies on the CD that you have is a finished production version. This is the actual demo.
That's it.
Which is so cool because I remember that was live off the floor, and I was still writing the chords, to be honest, and I think we did a really good job. We'll play the other version on the outro of the show, but that was fantastic. And people in the chat are saying great vocals. We got people from Facebook joining in on the chat, I see. So that's fantastic, Jimmy. Let's move ahead. Tell me about the voice. Now you've been a comedian. You got that done. It's like your bucket list. It's like comedy shops, done. I'm there. I'm the vocals, singing David Foster's big songs like you're doing, done. I'm recorded on a CD. What next? The voice. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, and you know, you play a hand in that, Colin, because as I was saying to Garnet earlier before you got on, you know, it's one thing for your sisters to tell you can sing, and your hairdresser to tell you can sing, and people you know. But when someone who's in the business like you are and have been all your life gives me a vote of confidence like that, wow. So after we did that, I watched The Voice again. I watch those shows because I love seeing people go after their dreams. So I'm watching this show, and at the time I was single. The woman I chased to Canada and I had separated. So I'm a single cat, and I started dating this girl, and I sang for her. And we were watching the show, and she says to me, "Why don't you audition?" And I'm like, again, somebody who's not in the music industry telling me I can sing, whatever. But this song, I now have a song in a recording. So we went to San Francisco and the South San Francisco Civic Center.
Wow.
I think there were 10,000 people in line that day. It was the proverbial cattle call. And so you get in line and you're just waiting with a group of people. And you get to know over the 5 hours before you even get into the building, you get to know everyone around you, especially me. Half the time I was that Spanish guy. The other half I was myself. So I met these two little girls behind me with their mother. And all of a sudden this guy comes out with a bullhorn and he says, if you're not of age, you can only have one adult accompanying a minor, meaning either the mother or one of her sisters had to leave the parking lot, literally had to go home. So the mother opts to go, and I say to the mother, listen, I will take care of your daughters. I'll make sure, because even the girl who was there accompanying the minor was just turned 18. So she wanted to see her sister go through this. So Maddie Trumbull was her name. We'll give Maddie a shout out. And so Maddie, I promised Maddie's mother, I will get the girls home safely. I'll get us a cab. We'll get back to San Francisco safely. So we get through this cattle call. We finally get in the building, and they start to break you up into groups of 10. And the count ends with them, and the next one starts with me. And I say, hey, wait a minute. I have to go with these two young girls. I promised their mother, and I always keep my promises. So he managed to get us in, and you walk into this room, Colin, and there's an X on the floor. And the chairs are like in a kind of a horseshoe, like a half a circle kind of a thing. There's this really cool cat sitting at the front of the room. Romeo Johnson was his name. He was the vocal coach for P. Diddy, Queen Latifah, just a cool cat, right? Like,
what a great name.
There. What's that?
What a great name.
Oh, I call it. So I'm just sitting there. And again, I am the oldest guy in line, not just in this room. I'm the only one. At the time I was just starting to go gray, but I know who I am and who's who in the zoo. And I'm with these young kids, but I'm a young 63. So anyway, at the time I was 50 something. So Maddie's first, and she's a little drama. She's into drama. So she gets up and does this like Broadway thing, and she goes, and then there's me. And again, old guy, but Romeo had a way of putting everybody at ease, because what he said to us, Colin, and I know you can identify with this, he said, listen, you've all been standing in line together for a long time. You all know each other. I don't want any nerves to come into play here. I want you to stand on that X and sing me your favorite part of your favorite song. That's what he said to do. Now, Colin knows this, Garnet, but for the rest of the people watching, I'm a huge Frank Sinatra fan. I saw him live twice when I was a kid.
Wow.
And, oh, yeah, it was unbelievable. So I'm going, well, that just sort of changed. My favorite song is My Way. So screw it. I'm going to do what this director is telling me to do. So I get up there.
What were you going to do before? What had you prepared?
I was going to do something a little more current, although I don't really know any current music, and that's going to come into play later in the story. So I might have been an Engelbert song, right? Because I like Engelbert has a way of starting softly and ramping up with his songs, and that was, hey, I gotta show off my voice. But okay, my favorite song, my favorite part. So I sing my way, and Romeo says, "Don't sit down yet. Don't sit down." And he looks at the rest of the kids, and they're all kids, and he says, "Did you guys hear that?" And he says, "You don't have to do all these crazy runs with your voice, and you don't have to, like, you can just sing a song the way it was. Jimmy, that was really good. Okay, next." And so Maddie leans over and goes, "You're totally getting a call back." And I go, and I'm trying to be polite to the next person saying, I go, "What are you talking about?" "Well, he said something to you." I go, "Big deal. All he said was, don't do runs." And next guy sings. About the seventh person down, Colin, this young man gets up and sings. Remember Me and Mrs. Jones?
Yeah.
He gets up and sings a version of Me and Mrs. Jones. I would have paid to watch this kid. And I've already told you, I've seen Sinatra twice. This kid was unbelievable. And he sits down and blah, 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 and everybody's down. And he goes, "Well, congratulations. One of you is going through. My money's on Me and Mrs. Jones. Jimmy, congratulate." And I am floored.
Wow.
So he asked everybody to leave this big giant room at the South San Francisco Civic Center. And I say to Maddie and her sister, "Wait right outside that door because I have to get you home." And they're so happy. We're hugging and embracing. And the last time they see me, I am smiling from ear to ear. The next time those doors open, they see me, I'm in full-blown panic mode. Because what Romeo said to me was, I said to him, "First of all, Romeo, why am I the one in here? Like that kid, come on. Me and Mrs. Jones." He goes, "Jimmy, I will see 3,000 of him today. Young kids that can go up with their voice and go down. How many old guys that sound like you, that look like you, whatever, that am I going to see?" So it was my indifference that got me the gig, not my voice, really, right? But I'll take it. I'll still take it. So he says to me, he goes, "No, it was just really, really good. And I picked you because you deserve to be here. Now, do you know any current music?" I said, "Well, what do you mean by current?" He goes, "No more than 2 years old." And that's when my countenance started to change. But if you've ever been on an audition for a show or something, and they go, "Hey, can you ride a horse?" Giddy up. "Yeah, but you really can't." I lied in the moment. I go, "Oh, yeah. Of course I know current music." But I didn't.
Yeah, TikTok.
I'm an old dude, right? Like I'm an old dude. So he goes, "Good, because tomorrow morning you have to be at this recording studio in San Francisco downtown. You need 3 current songs, no more than 2 years old, with the backtrack of the music in the key that you sing in." Colin, I don't even know what key I sing. So when I walked out that door and Maddie and her sister saw me again, they saw the sadness, red, white, and I was red, white, and feeling blue in that moment. Like it was just awful. And they go, "Jimmy, what's wrong?" I said, "Are you kidding me? I'm in San Francisco, first of all. I'm staying in a hotel room. This guy wants me to find music in the key that I sing in to current songs." We get in the cab, and both young girls get on their phones, and they embrace the moment, Colin. They found me a Bublé song that was, it's called Hollywood. Mm-hmm. It was famous at the time. They get me that one in my key. They get me a John Mayer song, and they get me a Bruno Mars song with just this guitar acoustics. In the moment, like as we're driving back these girls were amazing. Wow. And so now I get back to the hotel room, but I got to learn these songs, right? I've never heard them before. None of them have I ever heard before. So I'm thinking if I can kill the first Bublé song, maybe that'll get me through. So I'm like headphones in, just focusing on lyrics. But Colin, as a musician, when you've never heard a song before and all I have is the music, I'm going, when the heck do I even come in? Do I come in after the piano starts? Do I come in when the guitar starts? Like I got to listen to Bublé and then I got to play the.
And
So
it was probably before Spotify. So,
oh, this is a long time ago. What they did in
Yeah.
the back of that cab was amazing. You might want to hire these two little girls. So I have these songs. I'm now trying to figure out when they come. I don't get any sleep that night. I get in the shower. I'm playing the music out loud. I'm trying to sing in the shower, which is when I do most of my singing anyway. I get to the recording. Yeah, I get to the recording studio the next day, and it's no cattle call. There's 6 of us. That's it. 6 people out in the parking lot going, can you believe this? Wow, wow, wow. And again, I'm saying, I'm literally 35 years older than, the closest person, 35, 45, 30, no, 25 years older. They were about 25 years old. I was 50 something. So I'm real old. They're real young. Romeo comes out. Hey man, you ready? I go, yeah, I think so. I got my songs down. I got my music. I'm ready to go. Get into the recording studio. There's 3 producers for the show sitting behind Mac computers. And they're all staring at me. And they go, swallow that microphone. We want to hear every nuance of your voice. What do you want to start with? I go, well, let's start with the Hollywood song. Okay, 3, 2, 1. The music starts. Na, 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 na. And I go, could you be a teenage idol? And I'm 2 lines into it. I forget the lyrics. Deer in the headlights. And they're going, come on. Hey, can I start over? Yeah. That sounded great to me. Come on. Get your focus. This time I get 2.5 lines in. After the 3rd time, it was those proverbial words, thank you for coming. Have a nice day.
Wow.
That was it. That was it. Call it choking, call it whatever, call it not being ready, call it God's will. But the experience, Colin, priceless.
You went there. You did it.
Exactly. I stood
Everyone's
in a long
dream.
line.
And
Yeah.
you stood on the voice of the stage and you did it. And you actually got a call back, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And you did your comedy. I mean, that's what, living on dreams is all about. We all have them. And, at Starwire, Garnet will talk a little bit about that. We have these Twitter spaces where people come on and sing, and there's talent everywhere. And you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a certain age. You don't have to do gymnastics with your voice. You can just have good old-fashioned emotion that connects with people. And that's something you do. We just heard it in a song. We heard it in your comedy. And you've got a gift. And wherever you do go next, or whatever you do next, whoever you touch, it will always be that same thing. You have that real gift of making people feel really great about themselves, just because you have so much emotion and character that people can just feel. It just brings out the best in others.
Thank you for the time.
Part of any performer is that the preparation, right? And even the greatest singers of our, like a Michael Jackson, you watch some of those documentaries with him rehearsing with their bands, going over it, and his being able to dance at the same time as he was singing as well. But it's always the practice, right? And I get, Colin, you guys know, with all your touring groups, like how much of that time was dedicated to perfecting those songs, nailing them, knowing your material.
And then playing them for 30 years helps.
Yeah.
The same 12 songs.
Minutes.
Yeah. When does it come to the point where it's the exact opposite of that? You know it so well, you almost hate performing it because you've memorized every millisecond of it.
Yeah. Well, and there's something to be said about having done it that long and experience and still be able to convey the emotion from some of those songs. And that's because you believe in what you're delivering. And so that's something that Jimmy's been able to do really, really well. And so let's fast forward, because we've been talking about music, we've been talking about entertainment, we've been talking about comedy. you mentioned that you had somebody in Las Vegas teaching you about crypto and about NFTs. A lot of the people that are watching this are people that are part of our community. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned so far and what are your biggest questions?
You know, so just coincidentally, I'm down there doing a real estate project, but like yourself, Colin, I genuinely like people. So when I meet my friend, I used to have this expression, you know, no strangers. When somebody has been with you for 5 minutes, they're comfortable. I'm comfortable. So I was in the building department in a small little town called Pahrump, Nevada, spelled just like it sounds with a silent H. Pahrump,
That's where
Nevada.
Art Bell was from, Pahrump.
Here you go. So I'm in the building department, and this cat walks in, and we start yapping. And you know, where you from? You know, my accent comes before my, you know, when they get to know me, they know I'm not from wherever I'm sitting. And I said, actually, I'm from Canada now. And he was from Los Angeles. And we really clicked. We were both doing the same thing, small real estate projects. We were both starting out in that small town. But we had a great conversation. Then it was my turn to deal with the woman at the window. And we left. And I thought, I'm driving back to Canada going, I should have got that guy's name. Like, he was such a good guy. Like, man, and we're doing the same thing. We have common things. Man, I wish I would have got his name. But you know the way God works, Colin. Literally 4 months later, I'm back from Canada, drive back down to Vegas. I'm in the same building department, and in walks the guy. He looks at me and goes, Toronto, because that's the only city he knows in Canada. And I said, I didn't say Toronto, but you remembered Canada. I said, give me your number right now. He goes, absolutely. And I'll never forget his name, because his name is William Martin. But remember Billy Martin, the old manager for the New York Yankees? So that's how I remember his name. Well, Will, not only is he doing real estate, he was in the music industry in LA. And he's got some serious connections. He came out to help his cousin in Pahrump do some real estate stuff. And the last time I saw him, he said, Jimmy, he took a call while we were there, and I could hear him talking about stuff, and he's pulling up stuff on his phone, and I'm getting nosy, and I'm looking at what's on his phone. And it was these NFTs that you're talking about. And I said, listen, we've all heard the expression, I'm an old man, I don't know what this is. He explained it to me a little bit about these digital footprints that are unique in their own way. And he proceeded to pull up the top 10 non-fungible tokens. Is that what it stands for? Did I say that right? The top 10. And it was like, that was over $3 million. Like, what the heck? So, you know, anytime you're talking about something different, something unique, you have my attention. And I think it's coincidental and ironic that we got on this podcast to talk about other things. And we're going to segue into this now because I want to learn a little bit, but you can bet your butt that I'm going to get you in touch with Will, and because he's got some serious connections in Los Angeles for these things. And he's got some artists on board. So he may be a really good contact for both of you guys that I'd be happy to make the introductions.
Wow. Well, Garnet, why don't you tell us, and welcome to the chat, Megan. She says, hello, goats. So shout out to Megan.
Hey, what does GOAT stand for? Greatest of all time? Because I'm not a GOAT.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you will be. You will be.
I might be a GOAT in the sense of the farm animal, but not.
No. The GOAT. Yeah, the GOAT is the greatest of all time. That's what where we took the inspiration from.
Okay.
And, you know, I agree. You know, the things that emotionally really get to me, you know, we watch shows like The Voice and American Idol, and, you know, you're watching this journey of someone who you can tell, you know, they haven't gone through the music system, you know, they weren't scouted by a label, and you can tell they're just whatever, a young kid, medium-aged kid, old person with talent, right? And you put that in front of a crowd, and it brings out the emotions in people. And what is it? It's always, you know, the ones that really bring the tears to you, they tell their backstory, right? And as you start to learn about that person, and this is, you know, I come from a filmmaker background, right? So we're writing our screenplays, we're telling our stories. And when you learn screenplay writing, you the first thing you learn is, well, you got plot, plot and the action. That's gonna, hold your viewers. It's gonna hook them in. But the real thing that grabs their heart is the heart of your story is the character, right? And it's about a hero, and they desire something. They've always wanted something, and they're unique, right? It's like three parts to creating your hero in a screenplay. Number one, they're unique. They're not like anyone else. They're separate from the rest of the crowd. Two, they have a desire. Three, there's a complexity of how they ended up where they are. And as you see these stories brought to you, America's Got Talent, it's always their interesting background, their challenges that they faced, who they want to dedicate this song to. Maybe they've lost somebody. Maybe someone's fighting to make something happen. They've got kids. They lost their job, all these incredible stories. And then you hear them sing, and it's like, you're like, whoa, this person's amazingly talented. You're watching their reaction, and you're drawn into that story. And really what I think is what's happening is truth is being communicated. And people are saying, I relate to that. I relate to the truth of that. I'm like that person too, right? And it brings tears to us because it's connecting with you. And, that same entertainment factor, that's why we pay whatever, $100 to sit in a concert, $20 to go to a movie, $20 to eat popcorn, right? It's because these stories are moving us emotionally. And part of, again, our job as producers, as songwriters, etc., one of the hard things is financing these productions, gathering a crew together, gathering an audience, to tell these stories. And that's really where our journey began into, this technology, right? And it was more kind of, I guess, maybe on the finance side about creating smart contracts so that everyone would be rewarded, fairly and correctly. And, between Colin's side, he had, experienced so many musicians sort of swindled out of their what was due them, their royalties, because they signed a bad contract or something like that. The same thing happens on the film side. So we said, let's try to address that problem. And we started working on that technology. And the technology from the creating an app side grew into, we started to gather a community of people who were supporting us. And when we saw the community gathering, this is where the NFT side comes in, because the NFTs have a way of being able to collect a tribe when you're holding this token, which you can have a Costco membership card, but that's kind of boring. I mean, whatever. But when you're holding an NFT of something that symbolizes your life, for us, we're inspired by the greatest of all times. Like you said, Frank Sinatra, he's a GOAT, right? Yeah. And the guy asked you, sing something from someone, your greatest inspiration, right? And so we said, let's gather a community, a tribe around this theme, right? So, and this is where what we call, the GOATs came into existence. Maybe I can't share.
There we go. Motivated and focused GOATs.
Yeah. So we created these characters, right, who would be the GOATs. And every GOAT, of course, they would have these famous instruments from those great guys who've gone before. You see the Jimmy Page double neck guitar. You got the Miles Davis trumpet. You got Gene Simmons, Kiss axe, the
Steve Tyler's scarf.
Yeah. So musicians and filmmakers coming together. So we created these tokens. Now, what is the real kind of purpose, what is the function or the utility of these, not just being a cool looking picture. So when we talk about NFT, it's got a couple different utilities to it. Number one, it's a collectible. Like we remember, back in the 80s or 70s, as kids, we collected hockey cards, these different, I guess they still,
colored vinyl records.
I mean, records, these things that you would collect and treasure. So these are gamified collectibles. These are, because they're unique in the same way you could get that, I don't know, on my hockey cards, it was Gordie Howe. Remember Gordie Howe or Bobby Orr? Probably some of you younger people don't remember those names. But anyway, when you got that rare card, whoa, it's like, dang, this is like extremely valuable. So in the same way, these are gamified in that way. What they're also really good at is access, like backstage passes, concert tickets. NFTs are, a verifiable ticket. It can't be duplicated. It can't be faked. It can't be made a copy and give it to your friend. These are something, when you possess it, you get access to certain either media, events. It could give you access to discounts, a million different ways that value can be ascribed to that thing. And also, NFTs are a financial instrument in a sense that they're assets that are bought, they retain a value, they can be sold. Michael Saylor, who's a famous Bitcoin crypto guy, was explaining, Bitcoin and crypto assets to someone, saying that, well, the difference between fiat currency and holding a crypto asset is, it's like owning a house. If you buy a house, that house, if you hold fiat currency and you have an asset like a home, in 10, 20 years, the home probably will be worth more. It will increase in value as the longer you hold it, and your currency will begin, decrease in value. What you could buy for a quarter when you're a kid, now it's costs $2 or whatever. And in the same way, NFTs are an asset. You said with a house, it's got an amazing utility. You can live in it. You can watch TV in it. You can have a party in it. You can do all these cool things with your house. So there's the asset that grows in value and the utility of it. In the same way with NFTs, some will have different utilities, but while you're holding on to that asset, hopefully your NFT that you're holding has a utility that you enjoy using every week, month, whatever. In our case, because we're filmmakers and musicians, we wanted the utility to be something that is valuable to up-and-coming artists. And so our VIP access, of course, is going to be to things that musicians, up-and-coming musicians want to hear. Even access to mentors who can help guide people in their journees. One of the other things that we built into these as a utility is a governance function that, as part of the community, this NFT gives you a voice. And well, why would you want to be able to vote within this community? Well, what we created was a DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. So the main thing with this DAO is it has a treasury. So from the funds that are coming in from the sale of these NFTs are placed into a DAO account. And as a member, you're able to write proposals to receive some of that treasury to kickstart your career, or in some way that's going to benefit the whole community. But it's the idea of, I don't know, maybe a decentralized record label, because really, what does a label do other than it finances some of your tours or recordings, and also provides you marketing power? And that's what this group of in the future, which will grow to be 5,000 goats, is going to be a treasury and marketing power, and also just creative people who are here to collaborate and innovate. Also, one of the cool things we did was we took our regular StarWire token, which represented the value in our sort of software company that we've been creating, and we embedded those StarWire tokens inside of the NFT. So as you're holding the NFT, 12 months goes by and it begins to drip out the actual StarWire tokens that are trading on the marketplace. So most people don't realize just how amazing the technology is, and it represents almost like a financial instrument. That's your membership, that's your voting card to a group of people. And so we're in the process now of building, our community of goats. And if you check out our website, you want to see our existing members. Again, everything is available to see. Here we see the OpenSea marketplace. You can see all these people have minted our goats. They're all unique. 5,000 different and unique goats, all having their own value. Some are more rare than others. So when you mint your goat, it's always a surprise, sort of what you're gonna get. But it's been, we're in the early days. What we've done is our first sort of pre-sale has gone out to friends and family, and as we're coming up to this next conference in Austin in a few days, we're opening up the story of the goats to the rest of the world, to the musical community, and it's just been a joy, sort of presenting these to the public, but also coming every night. We're in Twitter Spaces, and we're really just listening to the story of these artists. We've got someone new every night, and of course, Jimmy, we want to, welcome you to come on. We'd love to share your story with the existing community that's gathered there every night. A lot of young people are beginning their journey, and they're looking for new ways, I guess, to start their career. They're looking for people to come around so they don't feel so isolated. And that's the one thing, I don't know, maybe you guys can comment on this, that the idea of isolation, that you're in this all by yourself, you don't really have a team behind you. So when they see, hey, why don't you come be a part of the goats? They're like, wow, you mean someone wants me? Someone appreciates my talent? It's like, yeah, it's like, this is the place.
We've got like 1 minute left before the hour. And before we go, Jimmy was doing a little bit of his Spanish guy impression. What he didn't know at the time is that sounded a lot like one of our Twitter Space commentators and or moderators named Crypto Construction.
Crypto Construction.
And so maybe, Jimmy, give us a little bit of your Spanish guy bit. And if you're listening to this later, we'd love to get Jimmy and Crypto on the same Twitter Space talking.
Guys, I cannot believe that you ask me to do this time like this way. Unbelievable. That is crazy. To him and to you and to everybody, I cannot believe to be here with you guys is a blessing and a real honor and privilege to just make everybody smile. I love you guys. I love everybody. And I cannot thank you enough for inviting me to be your guest and your goat for the evening tonight. Unbelievable.
The goats.
Fantastic. I
And
can't believe how
Colin,
much he sounds like crypto, and he doesn't even know crypto. So
I'll
it's-
tell you what, first of all, from my heart, thank you so much for not only asking me to do this, but for what you're doing to the community out there. You know, I've had the privilege, you're in my cell phone, Colin. I have the privilege of calling you and you taking my call. You are a mentor like no other. And if I just want to extend, if you think that I can do that for someone else, Garnet, if you think I'd be a great addition to the team, 100%, not 99, 100%, I am on board. I do a lot of traveling, but my phone still works in the United States. I would love to be a part of this. I'm going to hook you up with William Martin. I want to buy one of those GOAT tokens. I want to have one. Do you have a Sinatra one yet? Do you have a Sinatra one?
You know, I think we do, you know, because we definitely got that suit, you know, that the black tux.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Sinatra goat. We'll have to look for see what's on
This microphone had diamonds in it. That's what I remember.
Oh man.
Oh, I was
What kind of
17
was it?
years old. First time I saw him. Yeah. So,
all right. Well, let's
you,
end the
guys.
show with a little clip from the final version of Red, White, and Feeling Blue, just for old time's sake.
I will
And-
add that here.
And thanks, Jimmy, for being on the show. Always great to talk to you. And, you know, we do this every Tuesday night, so we'd love to do another show with you and dive even further into some of your history and some of your philosophy.
I would welcome that, Colin. Thank you so much. Garnet, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Someone missing in America, and there's a little child whose daddy won't be home tonight. Someone's sweetheart's disappeared, and the eyes of a nation shed their tears all red, white, and feeling blue. Red, white, and feeling blue. And there's nothing we can do today except fall down on our knees and pray. Red is for the blood on someone's hands. White is for the dove of peace and freedom in our lands. And blue is for the sadness of the lost and lonely souls. No goodbyes, no more hellos. Somewhere, somebody's crying for someone missing in America. Red, white, and feeling blue. Red, white, and feeling blue. And there's nothing we can do today except fall down on our knees and pray. Somewhere, somebody's standing up for freedom in America. And we're all red, white, and feeling blue. We're all red, white, and feeling blue. Red, white, and feeling